what is the
Yeah.
story? What is the narrative that is going to replace neoliberalism? And how is that going to be
Sure.
a story that people are going to embrace,
Yeah.
and that'll lead them to ask to raise taxes even?
Yeah. So the narrative is that human nature is a wonderful thing. We are this spectacularly altruistic, empathetic species, but we are prevented from being like that by the circumstances under which we live. Those circumstances made far worse by this virulent ideology of neoliberalism. But we, by coming together to create community and real community, supported by real power and real resources, rediscover our wonderful human nature and restore everything that is good about people and begin to act together to confront our common problems. And in doing so, we ensure that we can never be exploited and trampled in the same way that we are today again.
You know, in doing this show for going on 9 years, one conclusion that I came to is that we need to develop bottom-up connection consciousness. It's a very indigenous way of thinking, where you see how everything around you and you are connected to your people, to the nature, and everything like that. And I think that's part of what you're talking about, really.
Absolutely. There's so much that there are two main influences. I mean, obviously, I've read loads of people. I've been incredibly inspired by a lot of great thinkers, but there are two main things which has fed into this. One, the 6 years I spent working with indigenous people. And the other thing is the album I made with a great musician over here called Ewan McLennan, which was called Breaking the Spell of Loneliness. And we made this album because we were aware that loneliness was this huge social problem causing massive mental and physical health problems. And we toured it around the country, and at every gig, we basically forced people to start talking to each other. And then we took it out of the concert hall and into the nearest bar. We got as many people to come to the bar as possible, and we just got everyone talking. And we found that among the people there were a lot of people who were chronically lonely. There were a lot of people who were trying to do something about loneliness, local community groups, really inspiring ideas they had, doing some great projects, a lot of which we went to see. And we just talked and talked and talked. And out of this, I suddenly began to see, we're not talking about the answer here. We're doing the answer. And people who were lonely and suffering and having enormous social problems, suddenly they weren't having those problems anymore because they'd just met a whole community of kind people who they were then connected with. And suddenly
this is a community who was there all along.
Yeah.
And so part of the process, part of the story is helping people to wake up to that community that's all around them and to that kindness and compassion that's already within them. Exactly.
And it's this process of self-discovery and societal discovery that is going to change the world. And as you say, it's there. We don't have to invent this. People, sometimes say when you come up with a new political program, they say, oh, you want to change human nature. Well, the great thing about this is no. The last thing I want to do is to change human nature. I want to unveil human nature. The neoliberals very successfully changed human nature. That was their overt intention. Margaret Thatcher said at one point, economics is the method, the objective is to change the heart and the soul. She went about quite deliberately to change human nature, to make us more greedy, more grasping, more selfish than we really are. Well, we don't have to do that. We just have to say, right, let's just get all this rubbish out of the way and be the people we really are. And when we're allowed to do that, when our nature is revealed, we will discover that there's someone waiting for us, and someone who's a much better person and a much kinder person than we imagined. And that someone has been there all along.
And we got to wrap it. Stay with me, though, George, okay? You've been listening to the Rob Call Show, Bottom Up Show with George Monbiot. His website is monbiot.com, and his book is Out of the Wreckage, A New Politics for an Age of Crisis.